Jessica, we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back to the A2Z program. Yours truly, Eric Zant. And tonight, I have a very special guest. And if I have to tell you, the trials and tribulations and the lengths that I had to go just to get this girl to even acknowledge that my show existed, and I finally landed her. And she is none other than our own, right from Pop Culture Pros, our very, very own Jessica Nardo. Jessica.
Hi, everyone.
Jessica, welcome to the program. Thank you for being here.
I feel very welcomed already. I mean, I'm so glad I moved everything for today.
I am too.
That's all I needed.
I am very thankful for that. And so, Jessica, real quick, I mentioned that you're part of our crew, part of our family, Pop Culture Pros family. Can you tell everybody just a little bit about what you do with us here? Like what your expertise, let's say. What are you a pro at?
Okay, so originally I was a pro in film. That was definitely my first love. But I think as time has progressed, I want to say I'm more into television. And when I say television, I mean whatever is streaming. For the most part, if it's new and on any of the streaming networks, even ones that are like little known, chances are I'm watching it, and I'm watching the whole thing within a weekend or a few weeks.
So you're definitely you definitely partake in the binge watching aspect of modern society. Is that true?
Absolutely. And I think I've taken it. And it's funny because I even rate the style of binge watching I'm doing. So like something something like WandaVision, I would like to do it when I'm relaxed, no distractions, maybe my kids, my dog, my fiance, someone's around, but like we're watching it. We're not talking on the phone, like we're there. But if it's like a TV show that I just kind of like to have in the background because it's like I'm cleaning or like I am casually laying down scrolling through my phone looking for interesting content to post on our on our platforms, then I have that binge watching, and then I have the stuff that I'm just kind of addicted to that makes me a very nasty person because nobody should be watching this trash, but I watch it anyway.
That's great, though. That's great that you watch it, and I like the phrase that you gave it there. It's nasty.
It's nasty. It's just wrong stuff.
So, you've got a fan already. Hello, hi, Miss Nardo from Mike Zant. That's funny. He and I have the same name. Isn't that
weird?
Look
at that. That is weird. Are you related?
We are related. Mike is actually my brother, and the boss is popping in. This is much different than when she does in a movie theater. Whoa!
He's not okay. So
now wait a minute, boss. Now, Jessica, I have to ask, what is different about what you do in a movie theater?
So Steve is okay. So the first time I met Boss Man, he was at a screener for the award-winning Suicide Squad. That's a callback right there. And I didn't see him. Like I just went to my area. I didn't meet him, but I knew he was in the building. And then we met again, but specifically to watch a film together. And it was the reboot of It. And I sat next to him, and he wasn't prepared for. So I'm more of a when I was in the theater, if I'm really into the movie, I'm going to have enthusiastic verbal reactions. Like I'm not trying to not always have a whole conversation. There's times that I don't really hear things, so I will say, "What did it say? What's going on?" But which is true. But I do verbally, like I am that person that was like, "Oh, don't go in. What?" And then like he was not ready for all of that. So.
He wasn't prepared, huh? That doesn't surprise me about the boss. Well, it does, because he's usually pretty prepared. So he's like a guy that's ready for anything.
I think he just kept looking at me like, "Why are you doing this?" And then I would like hit him like, "Did you see that?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Did you see that?
He's like, "Yeah, I'm sitting here." So yeah, but it's all out of love and jest. And I sometimes, jest. That's a funny pun there. Because it's my name.
That is a funny pun. Wow. You might have the $5 word of the night with that.
Listen, I don't want to be the one, but there was a time where a majority of my reviews and my articles started with some terrible pun in there at some point.
I find nothing wrong with that because my life is literally a bad pun, a bad joke because I just deliver them one after the other and in hopes, it's kind of like if you throw something at something, things at something long enough, it sticks, and that's
I think
basically
it's called spaghetti walling.
it is. It actually is. Very good. So you got a $5 word and a $10 phrase.
Yay.
That's awesome. Woohoo. So Jessica, you are actually in South Florida?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, tell me about South Florida. How is it down there?
I mean, right now with the current situation of the nation, things are different, but not extremely different. Like, I hate to be the one, but there's a reason why our numbers skyrocket. South Florida tends to be a little bit more lax with some of this stuff. And I mean that in the sense that, like, I know places that'll say they're following curfew, but if you knock and say, like, hey, but, like, can I come in? They let you in. So,
Walt sent me.
Yes, but in general, I mean, there is other places I would live, but there's no other place I'd call home.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how I feel. Like, I love where I live. I love that I get a little bit of everything here. Like, there's no such thing as no culture for a culture in South Florida. So,
wow.
like, even if you're the quote unquote unpopular majority, there's a place for that. And I do think that with that opportunity is why sometimes when things happen, I'm like, but why? Like, everything is not necessarily like that. But I I'm not ignorant to how people feel about other things. But I do love the way it is here. Like, it has a lot of people will say, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. In fact, the most commonly used phrase for anybody that lives in Miami is, I hate Miami.
I hate Miami. Wow. How can you hate Miami?
Because it has a lot of hateful qualities. But at the same time, it's like, I hate it, but I ain't leaving. So it's kind of like Archie Bunker in that way. Like, like, he kind of like is like hates things, but he'll like still deal with it. So.
But he still, yeah, it kind of has like it's kind of has that weird comfort to him. Like
it does. He hates it, but you hate to love it, because at the same time, I wouldn't like. There's a reason why when like award shows or sporting events and things like that happen here, people are like, woohoo, because it'll feel, nobody will know anything about said award show or sporting event, but every place is like communally celebrating it because it's an excuse to be out and to be seen. And I think there's an aspect of that I do like. I think it makes you prepared for anything. So it's like you can be thrown into any situation and you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah, you're kind of like you're like a cultural commando where you can handle any kind of situation.
I love that cultural. Where's my pen? Where's my pen?
Get your pen out and write that down, and we'll pretend that you made it up and I didn't. Nardo, you're getting a lot of love here. I've got to put this up here. You have many hellos. One from Gilberto.
Hi,
Bert. He's stopping in to say hello. And also Jader is agreeing with you about the cultural melting pot. Jader, you're correct.
Yeah, and that's funny. I really thought Jader was going to say something else. I was ready to be
he actually did. I don't know if I want to put it up, but it's a very, very good joke. Do you want to see it? Do you want to see his comment?
It's Jader is my Miami,
Well, there you go. He's getting Oh, thank you, Jader. Oh God, you gotta love that guy. You gotta love that guy. But
honestly, yes, I do. I do love that guy. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, South Florida. Now, are all you guys located down there? Bert, Jader, Steve, are you guys all in the general vicinity? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Vicinity.
So Steve is a little bit high. He's a little higher than us. He's like a little bit. He's north from us because when he talks about things that he goes to, I'm like, yeah, that's north. And Jader and I are the ones that are closer in proximity. So, but he would be more what's considered west than I.
Okay.
So, because like I'm closer to I'm closer to the east. He's more west.
Is he like the Glades? Is that where he is?
No, closer. He's still like we're maybe 15 minutes apart. But it's
Oh,
still, but it's in 15 minutes down here. Like you, when the area he lives is still very different than the area I live in. Not that it's
okay.
like, vastly different, but for sure, like there's a different type of melting pot by him than me because I have like this smaller municipal closer to me that's definitely, it's very different than like the stuff that's closer to him. Um, and
Okay.
if and if you see or hear anything, those are the animals back there
Oh,
running around. So,
wonderful. They can join us anytime if they want to.
well,
They can say hello.
JoJo's deaf, so she can't really do.
She can't hear anything. Yeah, so
No.
she's saved from all my bad jokes. That's great. So
Yes.
you mentioned something earlier about you like movies and you were into that a lot, but you're into streaming TV a lot now. Now, tell me something about since particularly you have a passion for this form of entertainment. Now, being able to watch all these shows all at once and just watch them from start to finish, how does that differ from back, let's say, it's still in the 90s, early 2000s, when you had to actually watch cable television and wait a week, sometimes two, for the next episode? Now, do you ever revert back to that and go, wow, man, I remember when I had to, like wait a year to find out if Elizabeth died. But, does that ever, how does that translate to you now, from then to now, streaming to
So
cable to streaming?
So this is the thing. So because I also don't pay top dollar for all my streaming, I still experience the one thing that I think is different, which is the commercials, right?
Oh,
So I do still there is some streaming items that I have that I still see commercials, and it's funny because then back then the complaint was, ugh, another commercial, but like the commercials is also the opportunity to go to the kitchen, go to the restroom, and get your stuff done in 90
100%.
seconds, right? Right under a minute and a half. When everybody's like, man, commercials so long, I'm like, they're only about 3 minutes long, like if you really count it. So so basically, I do revert back in the sense of I do miss the anticipation. I miss sometimes being like,
Okay.
oh, we're all gonna communally watch this at the same time, which is why some of the streaming I enjoy is on the premium channels that they do release one at a time. Like I mentioned, me and you when we were talking off air about or on air about like WandaVision,
Mhm.
that you have this week that you have to wait. So you have a whole week to dissect the episode, look for all the Easter eggs, and do all of that. Whereas, with regular streaming that is all released, it's kind of like it's the same feeling, but a little bit different in the sense that, oh, what episode are you on? Oh, I haven't gotten that far. Oh, I had to do this. So it's kind of like you get to feel what is going to be fun or what isn't in the later shows, especially like a Netflix show that usually they release everything at once, and they're like, and
Yeah.
Netflix is
Oh,
more like, yeah, we're gonna see if we're gonna do this to see if you guys want, if we're gonna give them a second season. So I feel like that anticipation or doing something is still there because everybody's like, oh, but commercials is when you do things. And I'm like, yeah, so there's this thing called a pause button now, and you can just pause the show. So there's that.
no.
But I do think there's still the communal effort. I think it's just a little different because for sure, like I would say, like friends or coworkers, I'm like, oh, you really need to watch this show. And I always tell people whenever they're talking about a new show or something like that, I always say it's on my to-do list because
I
it
have that
definitely.
written down.
I do. I'm like, I have that written down. It's definitely on there. Like my stepdaughter always, when she sees a show that she thinks I like, she's like, you should see this show because she already saw it. She devoured it. She's on to
Oh,
the next.
it's
Um,
already in and processed, gone.
yes, she even, it's funny because she knows I love superheroes, and she was just like, "Have you seen WandaVision?" I'm like, and I went to say, she goes, "I know it's on your to-do list. You're waiting for the weekend." Like I wanted to wait to see like a few episodes at once.
So WandaVision, I've actually watched. There's three now, right?
Yes, the third one was
The
just
last one
yesterday.
the last one was the color one. And I'm a superhero guy myself. I'm a comic book guy. I've collected comics since I was young, and I know I've been a comic book geek for more than longer than I can remember.
Hmm.
And I actually am really happy about the way they're portraying these characters because they're really really closely accurate to the actual comic that it was based upon. you know, a lot of the, even the little innuendos, like her reactions to things, like, because
Hmm.
they used to draw them really well, and it would really, you could really translate that when you were reading it. You could almost feel it, and it's like watching Wanda and Vision now is almost like reading the comic but having it come to life. And it's one of the closest I've seen in these all these Marvel movies. Do you think that?
Well, you see, the thing is that the only comic I can actually claim I read was, I'm sorry, my dog is being mad invasive.
Oh, that's okay.
uh, um, the one that I read was the first Guardians book. So that was the
Hmm.
first, that was the very first one I read, and I could, and it's not like the film in the sense that it's telling the first story, but
Right.
it does connecting. So what I know about, Scarlet Witch and Vision, is limited based off the films, and then me doing research based on what I saw. Right.
Okay.
So I had to do the foreground. What I do like though, in that same breath, is I loved watching it. And because I always loved TV, especially
Yeah.
old TV. So, I'm sure you remember back in the day, Nickelodeon would turn into Nick at Night. And
Oh yeah.
I remember like during the summers, they would dedicate a whole day, like 8 episodes of old, like I Love Lucy, Welcome Back Cotter, Brady Bunch, all these
Yeah.
amazing shows. And when I'm watching WandaVision, I love that because it's like that. I'm like, oh my, I'm like, that's this show. That's this show. That's the
Yeah.
Van Dyke show. And then
Yeah.
like my kid was like, the what show? And I'm like, girl, you know, that's that's so cool. But I'm glad to hear that the authenticity of her is still seen in the comics. Like I really love when you start to see the little tickles in the fabric is what I'm calling it, when it starts to
Beautiful.
break. She's like,
That's beautiful.
so well done. And like, I mean, talk about characters that we got to love but not really know entirely, because the franchise was always built, was, I mean, Age of Ultron was about like them, but in a
Yeah.
sense,
In a way, yeah.
but you don't know much about Wanda and everything, unless they're like you, where you read the comics. So I'm curious. So you're saying that it's drawn closely. So do you know what's happening, or do you just feel like the representation is there?
I feel like the representation is there because Wanda, for a long time, only used like these. She'd call them hexes. She would use
Hmm.
hexes and like she wouldn't really alter reality to a point where it would like just screw the whole fabric of society up. But
Hmm.
she would do these quirky things, like she would like make this flow, but at the same time, like she'd have all this going on, and somebody would come in and everything would fall. It's really cool how they're doing it. And Vision always tended to be more of a straight guy, and she's kind of the, you know what I mean. So they're
Yeah.
really playing upon that well. Wanda actually once depowered all the mutants. I think they called
Really?
it M Day. Yeah. Oh yeah. She got mad, and when you're the most powerful mutant or one of the most powerful mutants, and you get her mad, oh my
Yeah.
god.
No,
So, but yeah.
and that's what even gets me even more exciting. So like my favorites growing up was definitely X-Men, mostly because I was like, it's one for everyone.
Hmm.
Whatever mood you're in, there's an X-Men for it.
Hmm.
And it's not, and I also liked it because I didn't ever have to pick one. So people are like, your favorite superhero, like my favorite franchise or like set of characters from the films is Guardians, 100%. But
Okay.
I vividly remember being extra excited, even for the crappy ones, every X-Men film. I was
Oh
always
yeah.
there first night. I loved all even I love First Class. I even when I was in high school would watch the new class, the X-Men new class, the cartoons.
Yeah.
Um
Evolution, was that called Evolution? Yeah.
Evolutions, there we go. Evolution. I will watch it. And I'm like 16, 17, doing things I shouldn't be doing at 16, 17, but I still need to be home to watch my X-Men.
Sounds
Um,
good to me.
yeah, so I always loved that. So the fact that's coming around, I'm like, this is like opening the doors for
Oh
like
yeah.
this whole other stuff that I can't wait to see. I mean, a lot of people were worried about Disney acquiring Marvel, and I'm like, listen, Disney has never made one bad business decision. Like in their, other than cheating people
No.
out of their land, because that is an old story that Disney was like underpaid and underdeveloped, and that is part, like Disney family has some really intense history.
Oh yeah.
Um, like
Is
and they're
Walt Disney frozen underneath the Pirates of the Caribbean ride?
no, he's in Cinderella's castle after they
He's in
removed it.
Cinderella's
Yeah,
cat. Wow.
yeah.
Wow. That
Yeah,
makes more sense. That
of
makes a
course.
lot more sense.
And I heard that now when they redo the Haunted Mansion, which is breaking my heart, but because they're going, from what I hear, they're going like the Coco style. I do hear that he may make an appearance as the floating head. So that,
Oh my God, that would be great.
yeah.
That would just give so much credence to all these people that wear the tinfoil hat and everything. They would be like, oh man, they dump their plate of nachos. It'd be awesome.
100%. So, but definitely, I'm like, they never made a bad business decision, and with things that people were concerned, like for example, is Deadpool gonna stay rated R? I'm like, if they changed it off that, people wouldn't watch it, and I think they can value things for what they are because it's gonna make them money anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like you said,
So
they're not. It's not a multi-billion-dollar company by accident. They know what the fuck they're doing.
they know
100% they know.
110% what the fuck they're doing, and and because of that, I'm like, because they've seen the flaws and other things, they're like, we know who to give this to let it grow. We're not going to
Hmm.
micromanage it like most studios.
Yeah.
I will say that I do think sometimes they, like they were crafty and thinking, okay, who do we want to be on here? Notice that they picked all characters that don't have this like that have this grand background in the regular franchise, other than like, oh, how are we gonna give like freaking, not Chris Evans, Captain America. Like, we're not gonna give him his own show. Like, he had a whole movie. He doesn't want that. But they were
Yeah.
smart. They were smart in the ones they picked. They were
Yeah, they
smart.
were.
They were smart and pick. And other than their history in the comics, but same thing with Bucky and Falcon.
Yeah.
Series. These are different flavors of a different style, and I think that they're like, we can grow to show so much more from here. That they're smart, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most with WandaVision. So,
Well, how do you feel about Loki? How do you feel about that?
I've been not really checking it out too much because I'm like, oh, I don't know how they're gonna go. He's such a good. I don't want to say afterthought because that's a bad word in the sense that like nobody thinks about him, but he's so good at like the end. He's like
Yeah.
he's a good punctuation, and I'm kind
Yeah.
of like, how are they gonna turn him? We already grew a love for him, so I am curious how they're gonna make that into
I am too.
a working television show where you're constantly like, is he bad? Is he good? What's he doing? Get away from there. Stop doing that. So is she
Stop it.
I know. I said I just got home, so she's all like, "Why aren't you paying attention to me?" And totally off topic, but even though she's partially blind and deaf, she does see her. She sees her reflection, and
Really?
she thinks it's another dog, but she can't
No.
smell it. So, and that's the biggest sense that works. So she'll push her snout against the mirror to be like,
And she'll keep.
like, and that's what she's doing now. So she keeps coming over here, like, do you see? It's back. like it's you, silly.
I love it. That's great. So now, Jessica, other than doing the reviews and the work you do for Pop Culture Pros, what do you do in during the day? What's your day like?
In IRL, in real life.
Yeah,
um,
IRL, LOL.
IRL. I work in education. I work at a middle school.
Wow.
Yes, I've been a teacher for this is my 10th year.
Holy crap!
Yes, and I
10 years.
10 years teaching children how to. And honestly, so funny enough, when I first decided to become a teacher, I wasn't studying that. I was studying something else, and by studying that,
Can I guess what it was?
sure, go ahead, guess what it is.
I'm gonna say underwater submarine welding.
Close, basket weaving, but yeah. See, look, she's
Same grain.
um, so so basically, when I was studying that, I was like, man, people are really dumb. Like, they still are, but
Thank you.
still are.
It had to be said. Thank you.
In general, I was like, man, I don't like, and I don't want to make it sound like it's some big picture thing, but I was like, how can I contribute to at least, and this is me included, because I'm human as well, and I've had my moments. Jader will love to sit on an entire podcast where he gets to tell the majority of them, because he got to be present for a lot. But
He wants to roast you, doesn't he?
oh my God. First of all, if there ever was a roast for me, he'd have to be the host.
He'd have to host it.
Nobody else. Not, and it's funny because Jader's not even the friend I've known the longest, but he is the one that would roast me the best. So I'd have to give him that honor. And it's funny because
he gave you a big yep on that too, by the way.
It's 100% true. Like Jader will roast me, and I like roast him back, but I'm still laughing at what he's saying. And I can't. I can write a book. He totally can. He can write a book. I can too, bro. I can do a graphic novel on your life.
A door once open goes both ways.
Yeah, but for sure. And man, where was I going? Okay, so with that, I was like, man, I want to do something that I can contribute to getting people to think about things differently. And I thought about who was one of the first, other than like my parents, you know what I'm saying, but like one of the first people that really made me think about things differently, and especially in film, was my senior year English teacher, Miss Navarro. So
Miss
she was
Navarro. Oh.
yeah, so she was the first. She was young, young hip teacher, but it's also still like, okay, so I'm gonna say one story that'll basically explain her. We were reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and yes,
good book.
And we were using parallels of movie to, the Robert De Niro with the book and things like that. And she said that like the monster is ultimately, Victor Frankenstein's, what he's trying to think is perfection, right? But in reality, it's everything ugly about him because,
basically, yeah.
Right. So she said for our final project is we had to build our own monster showing the ugly parts of society.
Ooh.
So everybody brought, yes, and we had to build them. So she's like, you need to, write an essay, whatever. But she wanted the physical monster in her room.
She wanted to sculpt this. She wanted you to sculpt it.
However, sculpt it, put it together. However you made it, you had to make it.
Okay.
And so, everybody brought theirs, and there was a teacher that was teaching night school in her classroom, and she would leave all of our projects out so everybody can see them. And she said that she was coming back to class and she noticed that they were all getting moved. And she's like, the hell? Like, why are you moving my projects? These are great. What are you doing? So one day she got super pissed because the lady, whomever, apparently she put them inside drawers that she usually has like closed and locked for like her things. So she decided that she was done with it. Yeah, deep. And she tied strings to all of them and hung them from her roof. So the lady had to, yes, she hung all of our doll-like projects because they look like dolls, and that's
yeah.
All because the roof was high, so she brought in her ladder, put them all there, just low enough that when you walked in, it literally was like a sea of just all these creatures.
Oh my God, that's why. Are you sure she wasn't like a voodoo high priestess? I mean, what the hell?
And if she was, it was the best because she's like, I like to see your movies now. I like to see your movies now. And I was like, bro.
Just be careful when you're walking through, like not to knock like Billy's arm, and then when he comes to school, he's like doing this and stuff like that. You know.
Listen, there were some creepy ass dolls, like because she taught us a lot of things. We read Red Dragon. Watch the film Red Dragon.
I've never read that.
It's the book is very much like the film. They like the Silence of the Lambs series do mirror each other very much. And when we read that one, she broke down serial killers for us. She went through she went through the whole list. She said like a lot of people experience what she called the serial killer triad. Like, they abuse animals, they play with fire, and she had us read League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the graphic. So she was really somebody that was like, dude, she let us watch The Matrix, and she took every literary reference from The Matrix, and we read that book. So she wasn't just like, watch the movie. She's like, watch where it comes from so you can see why it matters.
So she was like wicked savvy to not just the content, but how the emotions that you would feel and everything that goes. That's really cool. Yeah, that's quite a teacher. That's quite a teacher.
The only time I disagree with her, which I do and I don't, is that she went to a lecture with Spike Lee and she's like, he's a fucking narcissist. I'll never fucking watch a film of his again. But because of her, I was like, man, I want to be that person that makes kids excited to really understand things.
That's really cool.
So yeah,
wow. And she touched you that deeply that you transversed everything that you thought you were going for, and you turned it into education.
100%. In fact, it's gonna be 20 years pretty soon from my high school. 20 years since I graduated, and we still talk about her. Me and the people that had her, whenever she comes up all the time, like always. Like she is a legacy for all intents purposes. So she definitely inspired me to be that for other students. And I can only hope I did it for don't. Yes, yeah, don't fuck with cats. No, have you seen that? Have you seen
No,
that? You haven't seen Don't Fuck with Cats?
I don't know. Maybe I have.
It was last Christmas on Netflix, and it was about a guy and
No.
cats.
Probably not. But you want to know? You want to know what's really cool is that we have a special guest about to join us. Do you know this gentleman, Jessica Nardo? Do you know who this is?
That's Tim, right?
That's Tim Tabala in Living Color.
Hello.
Tim, welcome to the program.
I apologize for the interruption, but I had to come and actually speak to Nardo for the first time ever. We've never actually been on the same show.
I told you, Jessica, you are a celebrity. You made it to the A2Z program. You're the top echelon now.
Well, she was on Jada and Kyle, and I threw some comments, but we've never actually conversed. So I had to pop on real quick and just say hello. And say
absolutely. Timmy, what's going on?
Same old shit, man. How's everything, Nardo? You doing good?
Yeah. Tim, where are you from again? You're from
Queens, New York.
Queens.
Yep, Queens, New York.
Queens, New York.
So my stepmom is from Queens, and I remember. Oh God, if you told me now, I don't know. I mean, when I've been to New York more than a handful of times, and I've only gone once with her, and she told us, and she, but that was a long time ago, so I don't remember. But she grew up there. She worked at Greenwich Village, so the whole nine, stuff like that.
Oh, geez, the boss is the never-ending love in her head is growing. Stop. Oh, Yasmina, I hope I'm saying your name right. It says, "Don't fuck with cats. You should watch." So that's an endorsement from there and from you. So no, I guess I'm right. And Tim will tell you, I'm the most fucking horrible person at watching. And he's like, "Didn't you see this movie?" I'm like, "No." Then we'll be hanging out, like we'll be coming back from the store, or we'll be like hanging out in his house. We'll be like, "Hey, you saw this, right?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Do you fucking watch anything?" And I'm like, "No, I guess not."
So what's your pro? What's your pro? I mean, I know, but like, let's hear it. What is your pro in the pop culture? Yeah.
Mine?
Yeah,
I'm the David Letterman of the pop culture pros. That's my only claim to fame, and it's sad because I'm not good at anything else but this.
No,
tank tops. He's a tank top guy.
I'm a tank top guy.
No, you build things. You build things in your IRL. You build things
in real life. And by the way, speaking of IRL, Nardo, we missed it. We missed an important comment from David. He said, "You can't use abbreviations like IRL with Eric because he's thinking that it's too much for me to comprehend." And Tim's shrugging his shoulders like, "Hey, I'm not fucking saying anything here. I'm
not saying nothing."
No, I do. I'm savvy with tools. I'm very handy, but it's to the point where I don't like being handy anymore. I just like running my mouth. So I'm gonna. This is what I do now.
That sounds good to me. That sounds good to me. Tim, it's so nice to see you in person. I'm seeing people. I'm talking to them. I'm like,
yeah, that's why I said I talked to Eric today. I was like, listen, I got to pop on and say hello. We've never actually conversed before.
Yeah.
The last time you were on Jada and Kyle, we just shooting comments back and forth, which was a lot of fun. So I just had to pop on real quick and say hello. Yeah. This way, they're all getting to know each other now, and we're building something great here. I think so. We all got to stay connected.
We definitely are.
You do the sports podcast. What is it called?
Tim and I do the wrestling show.
You guys do but I know that you guys do the wrestling show, and then he do the baseball or stomp you out.
Oh, yes. A Yankee show. Yes, a Yankee show with Ed, and then I'm part of the Giant show with the other guys. Yeah, with Steve and all them. So yeah.
Yeah, whenever you guys.
That's what I said. All my shows are on hiatus. They're on hiatus. I'm bored as shit. So I told Eric I got to come on. At least I'll say hello to somebody.
Yeah. Well, I told Tim he's got to Ed McMahon for me a lot here. So like as things keep progressing, I'm gonna need a second chair here. So.
Absolutely. Listen.
Somebody to reel me in a little bit sometimes. Tim's good at that too. Believe me, Tim knows me better than anybody on the face of the planet.
Can Tim roast you? Would he be your host?
Tim would. Yeah, Tim might be the host of that because he inside and out. Tim probably knows me. He's one of the very few people that know that can get deep in the psyche, and he's one of the few that aren't scared of that. So that's
I would host, but I wouldn't be the star. I think RD or Bergman, one of them would be the star of the show.
They might be.
Or your brother.
Mike might be too. Yeah, there's very few. I'm just one of those outward up people, and I don't let too many people in. Tim, I've known. We've known 3/4 of our life, and we were instant friends, and we've been the best of friends ever since. So that's why. Tim and I, then, like I said, that's special. So that when Tim got me in on this, and this grew into all these friendships and these people, and I think this is really neat that he came on to meet you, Jessica, because now, like, the things are, it's like Legos, like everything's starting to connect more. You know what I mean?
Oh no,
we're building this big house.
I totally agree, and I think that I mean, I'm not gonna give him too much of a compliment because then his head really grows like way fast. So like Steve is really good about bringing people together, and it's funny because like the only way I started was simply by editing Jader's articles. Like he was just like, read this, you're a teacher, tell me if I don't sound like a moron. I'm like, well, there's something called a comma, so we're gonna start there. And like tenses, but we'll start there. And then after that, it just kind of, I will say that like me and Jader had an idea. Steve gave us the opportunity. It grew, and it's like I was even telling my fiance earlier. I was just like, I like that I'm kind of slowly getting my feet wet again. I really miss doing shows, and I like the group that's together. I'm like, it's fun. Oh yeah, no, whatever, bro. Like it's true. And mind you, there was a time where he would send me his things, and I'm just like, what? but still,
who wrote this shit?
Jader, though, what he was good at is that he had great ways of referencing his opinions, and I'll always give him credit for that. Like he knows how to connect one dot to another that you wouldn't think about, and it's a very explicit for people to read. It makes sense to them, and it isn't like too wordy or too obvious. So he's
that's not a skill that many people have though. So that's pretty special.
Oh no, trust me, I know. I've been editing articles and student papers for a long time.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous of you guys that can do that.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Because then this is the thing. It's funny enough that like I'll do it for people, and sometimes I won't see it. Like I'm sure you've noticed, because usually when I'm texting, I'm working, and my brain is in 6 different places at work because it has to be. So I'll always like mess up text messages, and Jader or Steve will be like, man, aren't you a teacher? I'm like, I am not a teacher in the chat. Like,
texting don't count. Texting don't count.
No,
everyone types so fast, it doesn't count.
And sometimes I'm typing like on my phone and fixing an iPad over here. Like I'm not even looking at it and I hate badges. So sometimes I'll just like look at it so the badges will go, the little red dots will go away. And I'm like, someone will say something. I'm like, oh, I didn't even read it. I just.
Is that what those things are called? They're called a badge?
Yes, they're called badges.
Where was David Waukee when that came about? Now he missed a perfect opportunity. Jessica, you have an interesting question from my brother of all people. No, not that one. That one. Do you watch The Office? And if so, have any of your friends ever called you the Nard dog?
Yes.
Yes, they.
So funny enough, in one of my school, the main school I worked at for a really long time, that was on, how teachers have labels of their mailboxes. Mine said Nardog.
You said Nardog.
Mine said Nardog.
Are you seeing this one?
Jader, your students.
Now, okay. Would you like, and this is epic. This is the greatest response ever.
That's funny.
It is funny.
But I will say this though, to answer your brother's question further, I watched The Office, but I always wanted to rewatch it because I did it too much in the background, and I didn't catch everything because I was late to The Office.
I was too, but I became a huge fan. Tim, I think you're a fan too, aren't you? Yes, it's on right now to my left. It's on right now as we speak.
So I'm funny, like Jader's girlfriend, who is my best friend, like she's known me for way longer than Jader, but she I didn't know that she hadn't finished the series, and I totally told her the ending. I was like, yeah, because this. She's like, and I was like, what? or not the ending. Like I told her like something maybe it wasn't the ending, but I definitely told her something pivotal, and I was like, and then Jader's like, "You asshole," and I was like, "I'm sorry," like, I didn't know. But and as far as editing work, I mean, listen, high school students. I mean, I don't even know how it is now because now I work with middle schoolers, and even middle schoolers, I'm like, where is your brain? Like, I love technology for what it does, like bringing people together. Never got to speak to you guys. We're doing this. This is awesome. But at the same time, like, it's really rotting some people's brains. Like, it's literally, I had a girl, she was like, "Oh, miss, I'm going to go back to online school." Because right now in Florida, we have that, like in South Florida, we have that option. Like the kids whose parents don't feel like taking them to school can still do school online. And then we have regular school going on. Now they do both.
They do, yeah.
They do both. And I'm like, "Why?" And then she's like, "I don't want to get up so early." And I'm like, "What do you mean you want to get up early?" Like, and then she's just like, "No, because I have to get up at 6:30. And I'm just like, "Yeah, I get up at 5. So what's your point?" And then she proceeds to be like, "Well, because, I get home and like, I don't really have time." And I'm like, "Time to do what? Stay until 1:00 in the morning watching your TikTok until whatever?" And then she's like, "Basically." And I'm like, that's the problem. That's the problem with society. Like right there. So
now it's funny. Do you, as you're an educator. So I as you probably believe, and this is what I believe, since this pandemic introduced this remote learning, the remote learning, do you feel that it's, how do I want to put this?
Making people dumber?
It's not just that, but the lacks of it. It's like like you just said, like, oh well, I don't want to get up then, and it's like now kids don't have to like be here at a certain time, so they learn punctuality. They don't have to hand this in at a certain time, so they learn responsibility. They don't have to redo something, so they can learn some humility. And you know what I mean? It's like all these important things in life are being slowly lost. It's like, oh well, we don't need that. Let's just throw that out the window. Oh no, get online and do this way. It's like, I think you're missing. I think the value of being taught by someone like you is just something that I think is being realized was taken for granted. Do you agree?
I agree in the sense that like I feel now there is a much grander appreciation for the work it takes to teach kids. Now it's not to say that on my end, because I always say it. Just like there's quote unquote lazy parents, lazy students, there's lazy teachers who are in tenature. Like I have this lady, she has the best schedule. She's like, all I teach is this class. She's going to get her pension. Yes, teachers do not get paid enough, but if you work that money right, you'll be fine,
Wow.
But, and I mean that in South Florida, I don't know how it is in any other, I mean in Miami-Dade County, only there, because it could be different in other places. I know New York has a very different school system compared to like most states. And I know that you guys have like other type of exams and things like that. And in fact, your state is one of the highest in like how interesting it is with its curriculum, but that's for a different podcast. Not to bore you. But
no, yeah, it's true.
Now kids definitely, like, as it is, I always say it started with participation trophies. As soon as we started telling everybody that just coming was enough, it's diminished what it means to work for things. And now the kids are like, oh, I can go online. I can turn off my camera, not turn off my camera. I can turn something in, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't. It's not going to count anyway. And it's kind of like, and I feel bad because there are teachers who bust their butts online. Like they will put every song, dance thing. They've done phenomenal work, but it's definitely something that it doesn't push kids the way it is when you're in front of them, motivating them. And there's this word called self-efficacy. That means the belief that you can do something.
Right.
And
it also creates what you do with that also is you create like the aspect of them believing in themselves when maybe that wasn't there before,
Yeah, 100%. And that's like, even today, just like a small story, we did have to, have some kids call home because there was somebody who might have been positive. And then when that happens, everybody's evacuated. Like you have to leave. So
yeah, everybody's gone.
So there was a mom that she was like crying. She's like, I don't know what to do. He's getting bad grades. So when he's home, I can't be on top of him. I'm working. And then he comes here and he's still getting, I don't know what's happening. Like, I don't know who's motivating him. And she's saying all this in Spanish, so it's like even more like, oh.
So it's intense.
And I felt so bad because she's like, "Are you a teacher? Can he take your class?" But I don't have my own classroom. I have like an office and I do things around. So I was like, but you know what? For you, I'm gonna make an exception. I talked to all of his teachers today. I asked them, so how is he in class? I told him tomorrow I'm gonna email you from at home and be like, hey, this is your goal today. You need to tell all your teachers that you don't understand something. And that kind of stuff, like it's hard to do, to get them to care. And it's like I even had to take down my mask like from a distance to be like, look at my face, it's serious. Put it back on.
You see that?
Yeah, you see that? You hear that? It's kind of like that moment
now, now, Nardo, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to bring you back to late great 1993. There's these two guys that were going to school in this small upstate, small little town, and their main goal in life. They had two main goals in life. One was girls, and the other one was wrestling.
Yes.
And they weren't happy unless they did wrestling promos every morning to one of the teachers. And do you want to know what ended up happening to those two young boys? You're looking at them right now.
Look at that. Look at that.
Tim and I had so much fun. We had so much fun.
Who was your wrestler back then? Who was your wrestlers? Who was your favorite wrestlers back then? Like,
we were click guys, and Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Razor Ramon, and then it turned what, Tim? How long before?
Can you see him? Or you can see him?
I think I can see him. I can see him.
There it is.
Oh, Savage. He's a savage guy. He's a macho man savage.
Yeah. So funny enough, my dad used to call wrestling. So in Spanish, there's this thing called una novela, which is like your soap opera. That's what he would call wrestling.
That's what it is. Male soap opera. That's all it is.
Yes. And I would get up and I would watch it. I was little and I would watch it with him. He was a savage guy, Bret Hart, the Heartman, that guy. The Hitman, there you go. He, Hulk Hogan. That was all his era. And when I was like growing up, I still watched, when The Rock first came out. I watched when I love The Big Show. Not the biggest fan of his show, but I liked The Big Show like as a wrestler. I thought it was funny because I love the real world, and to see The Miz in the real world do that and actually become a wrestler, and Stone Cold and all of them, they were always super fun to watch. And then as I got older, remember we were talking about trash TV?
Yep.
I loved watching the Divas. I was like, yeah, this is crap.
Oh, yeah.
This is awesome. I loved Bella and Nikki. I followed them. They broke up and I with John Cena, and I was like, why, God, why? I
just got done watching that. I literally just got done watching that. The Bellas. Dude. Me and my wife like to watch it.
Now, that's a separate show than Total Divas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Bellas have their own show.
Because they retired, right? Are they retired now? Are they on hiatus?
They want to come back. They want to come back now.
They do want to come back?
Because the women have tag titles now. They want to win the tag titles, then retire again.
Awesome.
Will they? I don't know.
They had that great little walk-in when they would walk in and do the little shimmy and then like jump on the ring.
Let me ask you a question then, Jeff, because you said from a woman's point of view now, because we've had a discussion on the wrestling show. I think David was defending Nikki. So here's the thing. You said with John Cena, right? When they got together, John Cena told her, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have children. This is all the things I'm going to tell you right now because he had bad experiences from the beginning. She said, okay. She was fine with that. I don't want to live with a woman too, he said. Fine with that. She broke him down to live with him. Mm-hmm. He proposed, and then he said he's willing to have children. As soon as he gave her these three things, she dumped him. Is that wrong? I see it as completely wrong.
So I think the thing is that maybe for her, the authenticity wasn't there and she knew it. That could be one story. The other story is that I think that it's also, it depends on how you think about this, what I'm about to say. So ladies, don't kill me. But I do think that when you get with somebody, you get with that person. Like even with my fiance, he had his flaws and we definitely went through our rough patches. And we always are. Love is easy. Marriage and relationships are hard. So, to me, I think once you see someone's really easy to give things up or like work on and they give it up, it's like, do you even know yourself? And then maybe she felt like I had to force him. He didn't just want it. And even though he told me, so I think it is wrong that they broke up, but it could have been that she already foresaw that like he really didn't want it. He was only doing it for her. And like at the end of the day, you want somebody to do something for themselves for you, not just do it for you. So I mean,
absolutely. And you know what? Okay. While we're on the subject of relationships, Jessica, we have to congratulate you on your engagement. I mean,
thank you.
And to show you know how much we care about your engagement, I happen to know a person who happens to have a picture that depicts the future beau of Miss Jessica. Who's that? Who is that?
Where?
Can you see it?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No.
It says I'm sharing it.
Where would it pop up? Oh God, no, I'm scared.
Hang on, let me do this. Let me get us to that. Let me get us to this. Let me get us to this.
Let me get us to this.
Application window. Oh, I closed it out. Anyway, I got sent a picture of your fiance and Steve Faraci. So
yes. So like, actually, it's funny. That was maybe a month or a little over a month that we knew each other, and then it was Jader's. Yeah, it was. I mean, not new. That's when we had started dating, like right in the beginning, and we went to Jader's birthday at the very same spot we met.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's
it was
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, Jessica? You can't see what's going on over here. You'll get to see it later, but you can't see the rhetoric that's happening in the comments here because, well, first off, Sam wants to say what's up. What's up? You know, Sam, Tim, loyal fan.
What's up, Tim?
And then, so Steve. So apparently, when Jader said something to David, Steve said, "I think that flagged your last comment," and Steve can't respond to it now. He's like, "Nice work," and Jader says, "Well, okay, I'll rewrite it," and then he wrote this. And then the boss says, "No, not that one. The one what you were going to do to David." So in typical Jader fashion, here's what he does. Oh my God!
Oh God, that's funny.
This is great. And then Steve. Of course I do, David. Of course I need a producer. Well, that's because I'm an on-air talent. I'm not a nerd with a fake beard like you. So if you want to produce my show, Dave. Quit talking about it and do something.
That sounds like a hardcore call. Like,
it is a hardcore call. And Steve wants to know, does amen work for atheists? I don't think so, Steve. I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all. You know, televangelists, they're like, I mean, who's a bigger douchebag than a televangelist? Seriously. Is there one?
Jehovah's Witnesses. No, I'm just kidding.
Jehovah's Witnesses are the biggest douchebags?
Not if anybody who wakes someone up on a Saturday, Sunday morning.
Yeah, knocking on the door. It's like, no, I have guard dogs. Leave. That's what I like to say, or you know what I mean?
My dad always loved to mess with them because we did have a lot in our block. And again, if you're that religion, I'm sorry, you know, whatever, believe in whatever you want. But they would open it and be like, oh, you know, they would say, do you have time to talk about your Lord and Savior Jesus? And he'd be like, do you have time to talk about your Lord and Savior, the devil, or like Satan? Like, and like, what? And he's like, yeah, bro, it's too early for that. Just close the door.
So Jessica, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a douche do you think those people are? Like 1 to 10, douchebag.
I don't know. It's pretty high up there because I understand that the reason why they don't celebrate anything is because they feel that, like, you know, that's too materialistic and trivial. But I'm like, how are you gonna tell like a 5-year-old or like a 7-year-old, like, we're not gonna celebrate your birthday because we don't believe in birthdays? Like, yeah,
that's true.
You know,
that's pretty dicky, isn't it?
Kind of dicky.
It is kind of dicky. Well, you know what? It's funny that we're talking about dicks and douchebags right now. We have a tradition here at the A2Z program, and it's everybody's favorite game. And it wouldn't be right if we didn't play it with you. the beautiful Miss Nardo. So, Jessica, welcome to the douchebag. We have the douchebag, and what I have in the what we have here is I have a list of names, all on these annoying little placards. Mm-hmm. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold up in the name, and you're going to see the name, and if they're cool, we'll keep them out. We'll put them aside, and if you got something cool to say, just a little quip or something thereof, we'll put them out, and you can say it. But if they're a douche, we're going to dick them, and they're going in the douchebag. Okay. Does that sound fun?
That sounds super fun.
Are you ready to play?
I'm so
Are you ready to play? Mr. Ed McMahon, are you ready to play?
I just put that up there for you. I'm playing the producer for a minute. I'm not playing. I'm just going to enjoy it.
Okay. So
I've had the honor of playing already, so I'm just going to listen.
You've had that's right, Tim. You did play. So since I'm going to make a half attempt at making Dave look like I know what I'm doing. There it is. Now we're at the segment called the douchebag. So Jessica, here is our first name, and what do you think of this man right here?
DeSantis.
What are we going to do with him?
I think he should go in the bag.
You think he should go in the bag?
Yeah.
He's a douche? He is a douche.
He's a douche.
He's a douche. You know what, Ron DeSantis? Fuck off. You're in a douchebag.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at first I was kind of like on his team, and then he did something. I was like, this is why I don't like you, bro.
This is what, Now, we were the same way about Cuomo.
You guys had it bad.
It's rough, and here's the thing. It's like everybody wants to be like, oh, Andrew Cuomo, he's great. There's nothing wrong with him. Well, and to be fair, I wouldn't want to be a governor during these kind of times. I wouldn't want to govern the worst. We're not the worst state. The worst state to govern, because New York is just this giant mess of cities and rural, and there's so many different pay scales and tax scales, and it's got to be the hardest state to do. But to be fair to the people, Andrew Cuomo is kind of a dick. So.
Yeah, and it does suck with New York's history too, where like you had somebody who seemed like he's not a dick, but like he totally was, and then then stuff started to come out of his ears. I don't know. You know who I'm talking about.
I think he has his nipples pierced, to be honest with you, but that's just me.
Well, so, you're probably right.
I might not be wrong, but anyway, how about this guy? How about this guy, Will Smith?
No,
the Fresh Prince.
I don't think he's a douchebag. I think he can have douche tendencies like anybody in Hollywood, because when you're in it as long as him, you probably have like a front, but I don't think he deserves to be in the bag.
No, he's not a douche, right? He's out. No, we're putting him out. He's out of the bag.
He's out of the bag.
Out of the bag. Whoa. Speaking of the devil himself, there he is. How about that?
Oh, there you go. Just put him with his friend.
Just put him so they have company in there, right?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
So much in common.
Cuomo would be oh my God, Tim, put that one up. What David just put up there. Cuomo would be the face of the douchebag. Yes, and matter of fact, he would. Now, I have to get somebody's attention before I put this one up. Boss, please tell me that you're still watching. You are. Okay. Boss is still watching. And this is a running gag here at the show. You don't know who Bunker is, but the boss does. And in about 1 minute, you're going to see a very enlightening and heartfelt comment about this man. They're both Mets fans. Bunker's an old friend of Tim and I. But Faraci and Bunker,
he's a
what
douche,
would you call that, Tim?
Douche. That's what we say. He's our douche.
He's our douche. Bunker is our douche. And we haven't bagged him yet, have we? We've kept him out.
I think
so we can't put him in there. We can't put him in there. But I don't know.
Every friend group has a douche, so it's
every friend group has a douche. Probably her friend group has a douche too.
Okay, so this is kind of hard. So I don't think she's a douchebag. No, I don't think she's a douchebag. Trust me, Nardo. I don't think she's a douchebag, but I do think. And this is not a comment on her relationship, but this is why I'm like, this is why you can't get too involved with celebrity relationships. They're just like real people. They will fall and be with the same thing. So she may be a little blind to a douchebag, but she ain't a douchebag.
She's not a douche. So she gets a pass. She's out of the bag.
Don't
She's
kill
out
me,
of the bag.
Tommy. I still believe in you and Offset. I do.
Oh man, I don't know what member of my staff is doing these up. I just so you know, these are all random, and I have no idea what I'm pulling out. But how about Fidel Castro?
Total douchebag. Why
is that's even a? That's not even a con. It's boom. The biggest douchebag.
And he is, man. Don't bring that around here.
No, I don't want that around here.
Don't around here.
What about our friend Joe Rogan?
Okay, so
Joe's a friend of the show.
Right. So this is kind of the issue. I don't think Joe Rogan's a douchebag, but I can see how people would perceive him as one because he is very knowledgeable and straightforward about his opinions. And but at the same time, I do think he's gone a little Hollywood. That's why I'm glad he moved away. And he went back, because I was like, you had Kanye, you should have gone in harder, Joe. Like, I would have liked him to really ask him, like, he did. He was like, don't you think saying that is kind of weird? But it's like, no, you should have said that, bro. That's fucking weird when you say that. Like, that's the Joe Rogan I knew.
That's the one you wanted.
That's the one I wanted, but he's not a douche.
But he's not a douche, so he's not going in the bag. No, he's not going in the bag.
You should have like a smaller bag called douche tendencies and just
kind of douche, right?
Kind of douchey.
Well, I don't know about this guy. I'm going to reserve judgment for you, Nardo.
No, he's a douche.
He's a douche.
Listen,
he's going in the bag.
So this is the thing I didn't like. Okay, so it's not that I don't like him or anything, but I always feel like Ryan Seacrest is always kissing so much ass. Like, just be straightforward. Like, I know you want to be liked by everybody, but just be a jerk. He's a douche because he's too nice to people who don't deserve it. So
he's like your pet chinchilla. You know what I mean? Like,
he's nice. I met him. He's nice to me.
He's nice to you?
I'm sure he's nice in public, but that's why he's a douche, because it's like he has the opportunity. People trust him enough, but look at Howard Stern. Always straightforward, never had an issue in his.
No.
Ryan Seacrest. Anybody who produces the Kardashians has, an issue. So.
I can't argue with that. But this guy might argue with the concept of religion with people. What do you think of Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise is a douchebag. He's a douchebag. He's a douchebag.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, Tom.
Top Gun's gonna fall.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, that's okay. Tom is a douchebag. I agree. But, whoops. If I could hold on to things here. Who made these anyway? Captain Jack Sparrow.
Okay, so I don't think he's a douchebag, but he's definitely very Hollywood. But I don't think he's a douchebag. And I think that, you know what, I'm going to say it. I'm going to take my hot take. Amber Heard is a crazy bitch. For sure, like, she, for the fact for his wife to be like, he has never done that, only with you, you brought it out in him, girl. The man should never hit a woman, but sometimes you poke the bear too much.
So, there you have it. Johnny's out of the bag, but he's Hollywood, but he's out of the bag.
He's out of the bag.
I get that.
Quirky. He's quirky.
Very quirky, Tim. Good word. Nardo, what was your $5 word of the show? What was that? You had a $5 word earlier, right in the beginning.
Right in the beginning, wasn't it a pun? Oh,
jest?
Was it? Yes, it was. Was it jest
or something? In jest? That was your $10 phrase. You had a $5 word.
I did have a $5 word.
That was pretty good. But speaking of Kanye, do I even need to guess where he's going to go? Or
okay, so this is the thing that's hard with and Jader will totally agree with me on this. The problem we have with Kanye is that from album 1 to 5. He was a genius. Like, the man produced some of the best hip hop that has ever come out. He totally changed the game in a new way in 2004 when he came out with College Dropout. But then I think what happened is that he lost his mother and he lost a part of his sanity. And that's kind of what was grounding him. And he lost her in such a superficial way that he just kind of went west. No, I'm just kidding. Just went like
he took a southbound train to the north.
Yeah, 100%. So unfortunately, it pains me because I still love his music, but Kanye West is a douchebag.
He's a douche. Fuck him. There we go. So Boy, I tell you, the staff that I have are absolutely wonderful. I couldn't have come up with these better myself. I mean, this is excellent. Miley Cyrus, what do you think of her?
Okay, you know what? There was a time where I thought maybe she was a douche, but I actually heard her on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Really?
And she is not a douche.
She's not a douche.
Listen, she is not a douche, and she, I think, is just,
playing the game.
I don't think she's playing a game. I think she's just her and is now knowing how to really work that. And I don't think Miley's a douche. I love her new album. I think it's great. She does a lot of great callbacks to, Joan Jett. Joan Jett's on the album. It's very, 1980s like flavor, but she uses those people in her album, like Billy Idol and stuff like that. Like she has them all there.
Cool. So she's out of the bag. She's not in the bag then.
She's not in the bag.
She's not in the bag.
You thought I was going to say she goes in the bag, weren't you?
Honestly, I didn't know because I'm going to say
maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe.
This day, no. Yeah, you know what? I'm not surprised that you didn't put her in, Nardo. I'm pleasantly surprised because I think she got over the sophomore immaturity and craziness. Maybe got out of her system. Because think about it, when you grow up in front of a million people every day, you're a kid growing up to a teen. That's got to fuck with you.
I can see. I like what Steve. She's a wannabe douche. I think that even if she tries to be one, she can't. Because at the end of the day, you're right. And even before that, Billy Ray Cyrus was big, so she's never known anything else. Her godmother is Dolly Parton. Like, get out of here. Like,
oh God, forget it.
So
that's it.
She was always gonna go through something, but I think that she is coming out on top, and I do agree. I think if she really wants to be a douche, she probably can't. Like, she's probably like, nah, I still kind of care what people think. So
I can agree with that. Good take, Nardo. But what's the take on this guy?
Oh no, he's wonderful. In fact, if you have a king bag, just put it in there.
He's the king. So Dwayne Wade is floating far away from the douchebag.
Dwayne Wade is our hometown hero.
You're asking someone from South Florida if Dwayne Wade is a douche? Never happened.
Tim, I have to try to push buttons. I have to try to push buttons. That's what I do here on the show. That's the part of the reaction.
Right now, Jada and Dave right now had their faces pressed up to the screen.
Like,
oh my God, you better not say douche.
No.
And Dave's beard oil just like ruined his new screen. He's gonna have to go to Radio Shack and get a new one. That's the joke too, because I know Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore, Dave. So
there's one here in South Florida.
There is one in South Florida. Does Mike Tyson work there?
Ow, no, my God.
How was that?
That's her dog.
Oh, I was like, what is that?
She wants to be in the show.
She wants to be. I told her she could be in the show.
Yeah, she's wants a lot of attention. That's why she's trying to be in it. No, I don't think Mike Tyson's a douche. Did you see the fight? What is it called? Not that it was a real fight. It was what do you call it?
The exhibition?
Exhibition. There we go. I couldn't remember. Stop it, Joey.
There's my $5 word.
Yes. No, he is not a douche.
No, Mike's not a douche. Mike's pretty cool.
Mike's cool.
He's a tough son of a bitch too.
I do agree.
My God, we got to grow up with him, Tim and I, when we were young, seeing the early Mike to the ear-biting Mike. But it was almost like, Tim, can you agree with me that it was almost frightening watching those early to mid fights with Mike Tyson? It was just like he looked like some kind of enigma from like Neptune. It was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable to experience that the first time.
He's a scary, scary man. Let's just put it
very scary man.
I remember being really young, and we were all at someone's house, like my mom and my stepdad and stuff. And all I remember was playing in a room with the kids and hearing, "Did he just?" And everybody in the house was like, and I was like, what? Little. I was pretty young, but not that, and young enough to not care, but not young enough not to remember.
He changed. Don't forget, he changed the pay-per-view rule. That's how good he was. He only had to pay $10 a round if he knocked you out five or under. Yep. He changed the entire way pay-per-view was saw because people are tired of paying $150 for one round.
Yeah,
crazy.
So crazy, dude.
Hey, what about? Let's turn back the clock. What do you think of Selena?
Never. She's our reina. No.
Oh no.
No, she'll never be a douche. She didn't even get to grow up to see if she would be a douche. It's so tragic. No,
she didn't, did she? That candle was snuffed way too early. Way too
early, and it's just like, and she's not even technically my culture, because if you think of like Chicana and cumbia and stuff like that, like that's very Texan and New Mexico and stuff like that. Well, she's Tex-Mex. She is Tex-Mex for all.
She's Tex-Mex, kind of the she's Mexicali, that flavor of the Southwest and Central America kind of thing.
That was her, and I think that like if you look at the way that, what I loved about her story is that her family were such hard workers in like trying to get that they were real, like that's a real like American story. Like they sacrificed everything. They tried things that they need, that they just busted their butts and it happened. See, I said that, Jackie. I said she didn't live long enough to even turn into a douche, to have her 8 marriages or anything like that. I agree. Didn't happen.
Oh, the douchebag almost fell over. It's got so many people in it. Well, this next one gets a very good mixed reaction, and I don't know. I mean, you can be on the fence with this one, or I would say you either love this man or hate him. But I like him. I don't really have a big problem with him.
I love Barack, even though I will say foreign policy wasn't great.
No,
he did make some mistakes there.
He did.
I'm still solid as Barack.
Yes. Can I do my Barack imitation?
I want to hear it.
Can I do it?
Yes.
Well, basically, we have Tim Tabala and Jessica Nardo. 2 people. 2. Existentially, 2 of the greatest humans that I've ever known. Not bad, right? Not bad.
You missed one thing.
What'd I miss? Oh, that. Yes, that. I missed that. I always miss the gestures. I focused on the vocal, not the. I should though.
You know what? Keep doing it.
Practice Barack.
Practice Barack.
Remember we were talking about televangelist earlier? Like for 2 seconds, really?
Yeah.
Do you know who this guy is?
Yes, Joel Osteen. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about him. I did use him in my class once. I was teaching about different religions because my kids had to write a sermon of their own, like they had to make up a religion and write a sermon. Like it was like this crazy project to whatever.
Interesting.
And I used. No, it was. Listen, some of these kids came up with some great religions that I'm totally converting to. One of them was like, "Don't be a butt" religion. Like it was basically about being a nice person, and it was sweet kid. Anyways. I don't know enough about him, but I think anybody who like.
What about Jackie? Can Jackie sway your opinion a little bit? Because Jackie has something to say about that, I think.
Total douche. Okay, Jackie, you said it.
Listen, Jackie, if she's a friend of yours, you're a friend of mine. So in goes him, the douche.
Yep.
Ooh. This probably isn't even going to take much thought. Kim Jong-un.
In the bag.
Bye there.
In the bag.
In the bag. Enjoy your kimchi.
Yeah.
How about this guy?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to say he's a douche because anybody who got away with what he got away with and then wrote a book about it probably deserves more than a douchebag, but we're going to be polite for the show. So.
Yeah, he's getting away easy getting put in the bag. That's just. And whether he physically did it or not, he still
thought about it, so that's enough.
Still did it, and he's still guilty of something heinous. By the way, there's this group called Pygmy Love Circus that does a song called "Dagwood Killed Blondie." I highly recommend listening to it.
Oh wow,
that was a lot. That was a lot to swallow there. How about Keanu Reeves?
No, I love Keanu Reeves.
Keanu's great.
He
was Ted. He was Ted. How can you?
Ted.
He was Ted.
He was Neo. He literally is the one. So
Neo and what's the guy that kills everybody?
John Wick.
John Wick. Yeah, geez, the ultimate badass.
My best
Johnny Utah.
Johnny Utah. That's who I was going to say. I was like, he's Johnny Utah, but she would have totally said John Wick, 100%.
How do you feel about royalty, Nardo? Speaking of Keanu.
I'm American, so we don't have that shit here. So.
We don't have it. So, what can I be correct in assuming that you have really not much love for Queen Elizabeth?
Well, this is the thing. Queen Elizabeth the first is different from the second, but if you're talking about current, no, just kidding.
The current queen.
You know what? I mean, I guess she's a douche by the standards of like what a douche definition is, but does she really have a choice? Queen can't be kicking it back. She can't be chilling with the homies. I think she's a damn queen. Like
she's a queen. I think you have to be a douche. That's like part of you're brought up to be a douchebag.
And you know what? Long live that. You know, good.
So are we going to give her a pass just because of that? Because it's not her fault.
And she honestly, her predecessor and her story is really good on the crown. So I mean, if you're into it, you can always.
Well, she's getting a pass here today.
She got a pass.
She got a pass here today.
She's also like 90. So
she is. She's like 412. You believe that?
When I'm that old, I'm gonna be the same way. I'm gonna forget I know English and just be a dick to everybody because I'm old and I can.
just wave like this to everyone. So how I do a good Bill Cosby too, but I have to get set up for it. This guy's a dick.
Total douche.
This guy is a dick. I mean, I think I've talked about this before with Tim, possibly somebody else, so I'm just going to pretend that we did. This man was hilarious, and he was like an inspiration, like to not just kids, but like adults. Like he was the ultimate dad. He was the ultimate funny guy. He was the ultimate like cool person. And how fucking fucked up is this guy?
It's so bad. I used him in a class. I taught a class about media and the growth and all that, and we were discussing multicultural families that were prolific. And of course, I was going to discuss the Cosbys and Camille and everything. And then all that happened, and I was like, I can't believe I taught my kids that this guy like made such a difference in his community, and he did what he did. Like
it's like what the fuck, Bill? What was in that fucking Jello? Like, come on. Well, he put something in the Jello.
We all know what was in the Jello.
Why don't you just have a little bite of pudding? Why don't you? That's awful. We'll move on. We'll move on. I'm sorry. These aren't endorsed by anyone but myself. So, how about the Miami sound machine herself, Gloria Estefan?
So, so Gloria, it does mean a lot to us, but personally, having known so my family doesn't think she's a douche. They've met her. They've done things with her in the sense that like her grandmother lived by my great grandmother paternal side in Cuba, but my fiance said she was the biggest douche when he worked for her. So I don't know. Do you have a medium douche? Because she could be douchey, and I'm gonna give her the pass because my grandmother would kick my ass. But if it was him, he'd be like in the bag and deep in the bag because he thought that she was a total douche, and he worked in her house. So
grandma, abuela,
yes,
says if she says she's cool, I'm not going to argue. If it's approved by your grandmother, but I'm in. Yeah. We have one last name. One last name.
One. Okay.
One, and this is the last one, Nardo.
It's so fun.
Are you ready for this? Done.
David.
Dun dun dun. No, it's Versace.
I thought it was pronounced for Stacy.
I thought it was going to be Jader. I really did. I thought you were going to call it Jader.
I thought it was going to be
Jader or David.
Not this time. Maybe we have other games though we play, so we can include them in them next time.
He's not a douche.
He's not a douche. He was murdered, right?
Yeah.
Did that happen in Miami?
Here.
No shit. In your house?
In his house, on his footsteps.
Oh, not in your house. Like before you lived there, obviously.
I would never be able to live where Versace lives.
Look at Eric busting out the Spanish. Steve, we've discussed at length my appreciation of the Spanish culture, and it would be unethical of me to not understand and or speak a few of the phrases and verses of a different language that I adore. Would it not? Did that sound halfway good?
I think it works. I mean,
Yeah, that works.
Anybody who's willing to try and doesn't automatically assume that all Spanish is the same and knows that every culture has their thing, she is so upset that I'm not paying attention to her.
I do know that Cuban Spanish, Spanish from Spain, Spanish from Colombia, and even Mexican Spanish have all different. It's not really dialects. They do have dialects, but there's different words and stuff like that. So it was really interesting to me to find that out because, as a dumb white kid growing up, you just think like, and it's sad because that's what we were brought up to, Spanish is Spanish, German is German. Because there's German Austrian, there's German Hungarian.
Right. And I was going to say that. I'm like, I know that even in England that, yes, there's English, everybody speaks it, but everybody has a different style. Like I know people from there's Geordie, there's Cockney,
Geordie.
There's
the High Country. Yep. There's the south of England. There's the Welsh. There's
that's a hard accent.
It is. And then, I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I mean, half of that doesn't even make sense. Like I'm sure it does to them, but like when you put like a Z and an F, and then like a Q and a W, and it says like car. I can't. That just doesn't resonate with
at all.
No.
But that's how I feel about certain Spanish dialects. I'm like, yeah, that's way too fancy. I don't know what word that is. Like you need to, because especially like when you're Cuban, in fact, no real. I mean, I don't even know. This may be too much of a stretch, but it's very hard to trace your lineage back to the original Indians that lived on the island. They got killed off super fast.
Yeah,
super
terrible.
fast. So because of that, like we were a port for every fucking explorer had to go in there and dip a stick on someone. So Cuba is like the biggest mutt island. So our Spanish is like the shittiest. Yeah, because it's like there's no like, and it's weird because if you tell high class Cuban people, they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." You still say,
quit playing. Quit
playing. You still talk like dirty ass people, like And so to me, I'm like, no, I am from the crappiest Spanish, and since I've lived here, it's gotten worse. You could ask my grandmother. So
we up here, see, up in the north, a lot of people think the South. I guess that's where hillbillies came to prominence is the South, Appalachia, correct?
Yeah.
But they came from the north first. So we have what we call native hillbillies up here. And I'm telling you right now, these people are far, 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 far back in the woods. And it's funny what you said about the Spanish people, like the highfalutin and the low and whatever. Because there's sections of hillbillies up here who you call these guys like way off hayseed rednecks. Then you call these guys are just hicks. But then you have your guys that we call Hill Williams because they're like a little more like sophisticated and whatever. But they try to talk they try to get this. So they're the Hill Williams.
Do they drink their moonshine in a glass, not a mason jar? Is that like the difference?
Yeah. They have like they have like their toddy cup. Like
okay. Right.
They have like the bottle with the decanter. There's a good word.
Oh, that's a great word.
That's a great word, Nardo. Wow.
Awesome.
I'm gonna write that one down.
Fun. We should have written the first one down.
We should have wrote that down. But you know what's cool about recording is that we can go back and listen to it. Magic.
Let me add, I love this question. I love asking. I have a lot of Hispanic friends, everything. I love asking this question. Do you get offended if someone says you're a different kind of Hispanic? I think they're the most. They get more offended than anyone I've ever met in my entire. Now maybe that's just New York, but if you call a Puerto Rican a Mexican, holy shit, you'll get the shit beat out of you. But if you call a Mexican a Dominican, they'll get the beat the shit. Like, they are the most offended people if you do not get their cultures correct. Are you the same way?
So I'm not depending on how it's told or asked. So if someone's like, because I guess in theory I don't look like a typical Cuban person, which I'm like, what do they look like? Because every Cuban person I know is like looks kind of different. But it depends on how they ask. So I have been asked, oh, like assume that you're Cuban because you're from Miami. And I'm like, well, yeah, there is the majority, but we do have a lot of other different, like, Venezuelans and, Argentinian and South Americans and stuff like that here. But I get offended when they just automatically assume that the only culture is that you're a Mexican and it's not because I don't want to be a Mexican. I'm just not, because there's aspects of being a Mexican that is awesome, but I can't claim that. It's not mine. So, I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't get offended if someone's like, wait, but are you, Cuban? But if they're like, oh, you must be Mexican, I'd be like, hey, go fuck yourself. I'm not, but I love Taco Bell. So
Taco Bell's great. I mean, there's nothing better than tacos. I mean, tacos is really like the best food ever.
I know I shouldn't talk about food. I'm starving. I'm like,
yeah. And Jessica, we've had. What do you think? How's the experience been on the program? Have you had fun?
Oh my God, this was so much fun. I had a blast. I'm so glad that I was asked and I cleared like I said, I cleared all my schedules.
Tim, she cleared the whole, like, she just took her arm and just swiped everything.
There's so many missed calls, and I'm like, no, not right now.
No, not right now.
I am present. I am here. No. Well,
we're gonna wrap it up, Jess. How do you got anything to say? First, why don't you and Tim do your thing, because Tim was gracious enough to stop by and see us. Tim, thank you.
I'm so happy I finally got to talk to you. Absolutely, I'm so glad I got to talk to you finally in person. And you, I know we don't really your cup of tea, maybe, but you're welcome on any of our shows anytime you want to come on for any reason whatsoever. We'll even change the subject to fit whatever you want to talk about. So you're more than welcome.
Lifetime pass.
I love that.
Lifetime pass.
I'm gonna take you up on that. I mean, even if it's something so like they change their uniforms. Perfect. Put me on. I got this.
That's it. Anytime you want.
Yes. So great meeting with Tim. It was great.
So you got any, Jessica, is there anything you'd like to say? Some last words, last little story, last quip, last anything. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, read my reviews because they're coming slowly. But I honestly want to say that me and the boss man, you guys have seen it. We've been talking about it in the chat. We definitely want to start, telling people to watch us. We are going to start a streaming podcast. We're hoping it comes in February. And that way, we can start bringing a lot more content. And, just like that kid said in my classroom, I still remember you, Lucas. Don't be a butt, man. Like, don't be a butt. Like, if you're going to be a douche, but don't be a butt. Like, just, we're living in some hard times, and and I am the biggest douche sometimes, but I am the first one to say that right now is just to be good to people and, hold the door open, Don't be a butt.
Don't be a butt. And Aline, my beautiful friend Aline, said congratulations on the show. And of course, David, you're the little puppy,
Listen,
he says great show.
David, he will always be my first, real husband.
Yeah, he's like your the PC, the pop culture pro husband. And David also says, Eric, you can now hold back on the flirting again. Like, okay, David, so my flirting is over. My flirting is over. Align, man, right here. So, like Jessica said, she's gonna have more reviews coming, and she's gonna have a show coming. Her and Steve. And not just that, we're going to have all sorts of more stuff coming. Do you guys agree that this is steamrolling into something bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on? And do you feel, as I do, that probably one of these days we're going to turn into like a real big thing?
I am down, Tim. I'm down.
I agree.
Yeah. Netflix, I'm coming for you, bro.
That's right.
We're doing it.
Jimmy Fallon, your spot's not secure. I'm here. So anyway, I think that's a wrap, guys. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. We had a wonderful time. Yay!
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, you're welcome anytime. Jessica, you can come on anytime, anywhere, any show, anything you want to do. You have a permanent pass everywhere.
Awesome. Is it a hall pass?
It's like the blue slip that I read, like those red slips that get you anywhere access.
There you go. Perfect.
Yep.
I loved it.
Principal Eric says so. So anyway, everybody, thanks for everybody who tuned in. Thank you for all the comments and all the praises. Thank you again to Tim for coming on and helping me, Ed McMahon. Thank you again, Jessica. Be sure to watch all the shows on Pop Culture Pros. Tim, what do we got coming up tomorrow?
Tomorrow, the Just Too Sweet Show with a very special guest, Ashley Slashley. Soon to be a big time wrestler. She'll be on tomorrow night.
Yep. Yeah. She's going to be on our show.
She'll be on our show tomorrow night, 6:30.
6:30. And after that show, I think there's a special airing of Granny's Peach Tea. Am I right or am I not?
You are correct. Granny's Peach Tea tomorrow night. Man of Steel review.
Man of Steel review. Now, are Jader and Kyle on anytime this week that you know of? Because I haven't heard anything yet.
No. I haven't heard about them yet.
I think
by the seat of their pants.
They were on a little late last week, so maybe. I mean,
maybe they'll pop on after one of us. Maybe they'll pop on tonight because we're going to be ending usually when I start. So maybe they got some time. And also, now, is it put it in the books? They still running or is that on hiatus?
That'll be on Wednesday.
That'll be on Wednesday, about Thursday. You guys doing a giant show? Stomping you out?
We'll be doing a Super Bowl preview show and a rewind of the this past week's games.
Oh, okay, good. So stay tuned to that. Thursday, instead of the We Stomped You Out show, there will be a preview for the Super Bowl plus the review of the last week's show. I can't believe I got all through that and I said everything correctly. Also coming up as the baseball season nears, don't forget Tim and Ed do the Empire 161 show. And as Jessica mentioned earlier, Jessica's going to be coming back very, very soon because February's not far, guys. February's coming right up. It's starting to like nip at you like a little mouse trying to get your Cheez-It. You know what I mean? So Jessica's going to have a show with. Is it you and Steve? Is that what's going to be?
Me and Steve for now, but I'm sure we're going to have people on and see what they want to talk about.
Yeah.
Open door.
Open door. That's what we like here about Pop Culture Pros. We're kind of all us pros are we just kind of come and go because we're like this big hippie commune minus the peace and love.
And the Kool-Aid. And the Kool-Aid. We don't drink
no Jonestown. Nope. No. As soon as I see Steve with dark shades on, I'm out. I'm gone. See you later.
This was awesome.
So anyway, listen, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Tim. Again, Nardo, you are welcome anytime. Everybody who commented, Align, Jader, thank you for getting yourself in trouble with your comment. And we encourage you. Now, next week, A to Z will be coming at you at the same time, probably around 6:30. And I have not one, but two guests again. I have two lovely ladies from New York City who are going to join me for some chit-chat. So be sure to stay tuned to that. So on behalf of Tim Tabala, Tim is over here, and the beautiful Jessica Nardo for joining us tonight. My name is Eric Zant. This was the A to Z program. Good night.
Good night.
If I can get the mouse up to the end broadcast, we'll be good. And